Всем привет! Меня зовут Айсылу. Это канал Unirus, канал, на котором вы изучаете русский язык. Hi everyone, my name is Aysilu and this is the channel Unirus where you study Russian language. And today I'm going to make the video in English language for people who ask me, I want to learn Russian language. What should I do? How to learn Russian language without a teacher? Well, learning any language is a challenge, and learning Russian language is a challenge too. I'm sure you know that Russian is not the easiest language in the world. Today, I want to give you the answer how you can learn Russian language without a teacher. And your first step, as you can see here, это определите ваш уровень. Determine your level of Russian language. So if you're a complete beginner, that's okay. You don't need to do it. But a lot of you I know can speak a little bit, or maybe you studied it before you forget and you can say something, you have studied something. And that's why it's very important to determine your level. There are lots of ways how you can do it. To determine your level, you can address to a teacher of Russian language. You take one consultation where the teacher can determine and analyze your level and say, okay, your current level is A1, A2, B1, B2, and you need to do this, this, and this. Or if you want, you can also take some tests, online tests, which you can find. One of these you can see here, you can see QR code. This is the Telegram bot, which I developed especially to find your level of Russian language. For now, we have the level A, from A to B2, and I'm going to develop for high advanced levels too. Anyway, you can take this test and understand your strong and your weak points. And what's great about my Telegram bot is that you will receive also the results and you will see your weak points, like the topic which you should study. Anyway, you determined your level. Step number 2. It's determine your learning goals. Определите ваши цели обучения. You should understand why you study Russian language, just for yourself, for university. You want to work in Russia, you want to study, you want to speak with Russian girl, etc. Because depending on your goal, you should decide what you need to learn. Because the goal is very important. If you want to study in Russia, then you should definitely learn all aspects. Maybe you should focus yourself on listening and writing, etc. If you just want to talk with people, maybe you should do more speaking tasks and read and etc. Step number 3, which I highly recommend, is to take a book. When you study the language with your teacher, the teacher manage the program. He creates the program individually for you, and he knows the correct sequences, the structure, what should you learn first, what you should learn next one, and he prepares the lesson according to your goals and levels. But if you study yourself, you don't know what to study next. What should you study now? What's too hard for you? Maybe what should you learn later? That's why I recommend you to buy books. For example, the textbook, like the book, and workbook as well. If you don't know which book to take, I have the video on my channel, which is called Best Books for Learning Russian Language. You can watch it and take the book according to your level. And maybe if you're just a beginner, I recommend you to buy this book, Pochka.ru, because it's nice and very great book and colorful, and it's nice to take the lessons, and they are my favorite books also. And I recommend you to buy. I think the best way is to buy physical book, because it's better when you can write down. And please buy books, support the authors. Do not try to find them, and do not write me to send the books. I will not do it. Let's respect each other, and let's respect the works, the hard works of the authors of the book. Okay? And why I recommend you to take books and also workbook. Workbook is a very great way to improve and to practice more all material that you study in the book, because you don't have the teacher, so you need to practice even more than with a teacher. If you take any book, you can find here the content of the book, содержание книги. And then that can be your real plan of studying, like your study plan. You don't need to think like, today I want to learn about, I don't know, the SV and SV on genitive case. Maybe you don't need it for now. You can take the book, you can look at the textbook and just follow this plan, which is nice and it's constructed well because professional people did it, right? And if you don't want to buy the book, okay, maybe then you can go to the websites of the books and usually you can find the content and look at this and follow this plan. This is the ready plan for you. The next step number 4. So you have this nice book, you have seen the plan, you have the book, and you want to start learning. The books that I recommend, they're not for self-learning. They are considered like to study with the teacher. And I don't know any of this like self-book studies because I'm a teacher of Russian language and I just don't have them and I don't know them. And most of them are written in your languages, which maybe I don't know. But these books are nice and I think they're the best and you can follow them anyway. But maybe sometimes some parts with grammar is not really, some parts with grammar, they're not described like fully well because they're not considered to be consumed without a teacher. So what I recommend, you open like the first, like let's take any lesson, I don't know, for example, let's take this lesson. This is lesson 3.3. Это неофиса мечта. In this lesson, we're going to study the plural forms of Russian nouns. Okay, so you start doing all exercise on the first page, reading and listening this nice text, and then you can see the plural forms. And maybe you don't understand the structure just reading this table. What you need to do, I recommend you to watch tutorial videos on YouTube, to search for them. And a little bit of advertisement on my channel, you can find a lot of videos where I explain grammatical topics. You can check if you're the beginner, this playlist, which is called Free Online Course with Learn Russian RT. This is a website which you can also check by Russian Today. It's a nice website where you can learn Russian too. And if you combine it with this video and these books, it will be super great. And also I have a lot of grammatical video about verbs, lesson for beginners, and etc. So you can check. And if you like type like plural form of nouns, you will find this video, not only mine, but others you can watch and complete this table and do the exercises. So that's gonna be really great. And what's important when you have the book is to practice, to train all aspects. Аудирование, so listening, чтение, reading, говорение, speaking, и письмо, writing. And usually when you study just yourself, the parts with listening and reading and grammar part, they're not the problems. Usually you do it, you read, you listen, and you do tons of grammatical exercises. The problematic points are speaking and writing. If you really want to learn to speak Russian language, not just to read it or passively consume, you need to speak. That's why I recommend you never skip the parts with speaking. Sometimes in the books you don't have this part writing, so you need to create them yourself. But when you study any topic and you finish like, okay, so we studied the plural forms, that was the text about office, ideal office. At the end of this, you need to force yourself to write the short sentences, the text about the topic that you have studied. You need to do it. Of course, you don't have people who can check it, but maybe you can find people, the native speakers, that they can check it if we will speak about it later. But writing, you will never learn to write in Russian until you write. So you have to do it. The same about speaking. If you want to speak, the biggest secret, you need to speak. So please speak. You need to speak a lot. You need to speak with yourself. I know it can be strange, but In the situation when you learn any language yourself, you have to speak yourself. And for example, when after reading the text, I don't know, you need to answer the questions, like you need to speak about hobbies. For example, here we have the parts with the hobbies. You need really literally to speak aloud. You need to pronounce it aloud, not just by yourself, but you need to speak aloud and create these dialogues, monologues, but you need to speak. What I recommend you to do, you can record yourself. You can record your answer and then listen and check. You can be so-called teacher for yourself. And then listening, try to find mistakes that you made, for example, and try to correct them. That's the very great way. Also, since you study a language yourself, you need to speak with other people. That's why it's very important to find people for practice. There are lots of different apps, websites where you can find and you can create these tandems, speaking tandems, and speak with people. It can be very hard sometimes to find the people, but if you really want and if you're very motivated, you can do it, because without speaking with other people, you can start really speaking. This is not like speaking language. Listening, reading, even writing is not knowing the language. It doesn't mean you can speak it, okay? That's why you need to practice. And what can I say at the end? Self-study is a great way if you're really motivated, if you're a disciplined person. It can be tough. Because when you have the teacher, it's easier. You don't need to create your program. You don't need like to force yourself, because you know, okay, I have the teacher, I have the lesson this time, I will do it. And you have the homework to do during the lesson, you can practice. But you can do it, but of course you can learn it yourself. I honestly want to tell you that maybe at the beginning level, it can be hard because you need to learn to read well, just to understand the basic ideas about language and to like understand how to pronounce the sounds well. But if you have the will and motivation, you can do it yourself. Well, I hope that this video was useful for you. Write me your comments, your ideas. Can you learn the language yourself or not? And don't forget to put likes, to subscribe. And спасибо большое. Пока-пока.